Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host TKK, and listen, today I'm pretty excited to do this review, this quick glance and this test of this arcade stick, man. This is a stick that was so infamous that everybody who was playing fighting games at the time, they had to get their hands on this. I'm talking about none other than the Green Goblin, right? The Sega Dreamcast sandwood-like arcade stick that mimicked the Japanese arcade cabinets that people played on in the 90s, even the early 2000s. It's a 6-button stick, right? That was just perfect, able to be put in your lap, able to be put on the tabletop, and you can play without shaking the whole arena, right? So today we're going to be actually taking a look at that stick as well as an adapter that I purchased so that I can actually connect it to my Sega Dreamcast, my 48-inch C1 OLED. We're going to take a look at this right after my intro. All right, welcome back to the channel, man. Please like, share, subscribe. We are growing on the road to just continue to grind. But today we got an arcade stick review. So to start this off, we're gonna look at two different products, man. Now, the last time I did an arcade stick review, it was featuring my 15th anniversary Street Fighter 2 stick, or my 15th anniversary Street Fighter stick. Arcade stick that was big as hell, that had Americanized parts. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it connected. I have since then found my original PlayStation 2 and my original Xbox. That console was slated to work, or that stick was slated to work on both of those consoles. So again, unfortunately, I couldn't actually test that. Today, I came a little bit more prepared, right? So got the stick, and we're gonna take a look at that in just a few moments. But this guy right here is supposed to make it so that my Sega Dreamcast can actually connect to my LG C1 OLED. I got the 48-inch OLED. If you haven't been following, you can scroll through the content, check out some of the videos. It's my desktop gaming setup, and we're going to use it to kind of test this today. This peripheral, manufactured by the company Pound, is going to put you in a position where you just plug into the proprietary Dreamcast port, and then it offers you a female HDMI connector. Now, the contents of this box do also come with an HDMI cable. So we'll get this cracked open, take a look at it, and then we'll get into the stick. Okay, so this part is actually called the HD link cable for Dreamcast. I'm actually gonna read what's on the back of the contents. It says, the Dreamcast was far ahead of its time with groundbreaking graphics and processing. With the HD link cable for Dreamcast, you can finally take things a little further, enjoy maximum video quality and convenient setup with your modern HD televisions. This is true. The Sega Dreamcast came with your standard component cables, and I'm not able to connect that to my OLED. Even my 77-inch, the 48-inch, these TVs just don't have your standard yellow, red, white audio, video cables. There's no separation for that. It's strictly HDMI. And so again, this peripheral is going to put me in a position where I can connect to the Dreamcast and then essentially run an HDMI cable. Now, what type of graphics upgrades I'm supposed to get, anything like that, I'm not really intended, or my thought is that I'm not looking to get better graphics, but just some compatibility where I can actually get this thing working. So the back of it tells me the contents are that it's compatible with a Dreamcast and an HDMI cable. What's in the box is the actual HD link cable, and it comes with a 6.6 foot HDMI cable. So that's actually cool that they provide you with an HDMI cable. This product costs $30. I purchased it off Amazon. It was a next day or 2-day shipping prime option. In the box, you just got this, and then you got this. There's really no manuals or anything like that. It's just a plug and play solution. Keeping in mind that this isn't for PC or anything like that. Obviously, there's no reason you would need this for a computer, so there's no drivers or anything to be downloaded. You just plug one into your Sega Dreamcast, and you plug the other end, going from the HDMI cable, male to female, and then male to the female port on the TV. So we're going to take a look at this towards the end of the video when I go to test the stick out. Let's get to the Green Goblin. All right, so to have this makes me happy, man. It's extremely pleasing to have an arcade stick that I used back in the day. Some of y'all may know I'm from Detroit. I live in Florida now. But man, I used to run up and down my stick and kick a lot of ass and a lot of fighting games. In the arcade days, I actually did that. And then the transition over to console was an interesting one. This stick just made it so possible for you to be able to get a great experience. Now, keep it in mind, this actually does not have sound with parts, and it's been a long time since I used one of these sticks. So appreciate my boy Buck for making the mention that, you know, this has sound with like parts. But the interesting thing to using this stick was that being from the States, playing in the arcades, you had very stiff and different controls, right? This just was a gateway for you to have so much more movement. You felt quicker when you used this stick. It was amazing. And of course, at the time, there wasn't an open forum for you to be able to use like sound with sticks on these consoles. Like this was the stick. Now every stick that you buy has Sanwa or some very close replica to what the Japanese use natively, right? But this kind of was like the start of that trend. So model number of this thing is the HKT-7300. This is the actual Japanese box. Your stick, if you bought it from the States, it did have a different box. I do remember having the different box, and I had this box also before too. We had a, when I say we, I mean those of you that was from Detroit like me, from Metro Detroit, that area, we had an import store. It was a couple actually. There was one on the road 13 or 14 miles, 14 Mile in John R. That place was slapping, man. They had everything you can think of. But there was a lot of places in a lot of different areas back in the late 90s, early 2000 that had a lot of opportunities, places you can go to where you can go and buy things like this, things that weren't readily accessible. You know, we weren't on the internet. It wasn't such a big e-commerce at the time. There was no Amazon. So you didn't have access to these components and these parts, right? But yeah, getting into this thing, white box, Dreamcast all around, right? Let's go ahead and get this thing open. I'm excited. This is beautiful stick, man. Pull this out the stash. Just give you a good look at this thing, man. Let's get a good look at that, man. Just beautiful. Back all nice and clean. The model number on the bottom. Front placement where the VMU goes. Virtual memory unit, which I don't have one right now. So this is definitely the start. This has made me itch, and I will have to scratch it. Oh man. Oh, listen, let me tell you. This is a feeling that I can't really describe, dude. Like right now, what I'm feeling is just like, there's memories that they're coming back to me. And it's like, I'm thinking, dude, like, okay, 1999, right? My money wasn't right all the time. So I had to there was a time where I would have to use a Sega Dreamcast controller, right? If you've used a Dreamcast controller, it had D-pad, analog, 4 buttons on the top, 2 triggers. I had to use that controller to train in fighting games, right? And so what I had to do was I had to make the triggers my medium buttons, you know, because crossing over with Shotacons with the forward button was really important. It was tough as hell for me to use the Fierce and the Roundhouse as my triggers on the Dreamcast, playing CVS2, playing CVS1. CVS1 was easier because it was a 4-button game, but CVS2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, you know, it's just, but when I finally did start to get my paper right, kind of like mid 99, it was just like, you know, to be able to afford to buy something like this, and man, it just takes me back, bro. Yeah, this thing is amazing. So I'm excited to actually get this fired up. I am so hopeful right now that this adapter in my Dreamcast, I hope my Dreamcast works, because I don't even know if it works, but I really want to be able to fire up a game and check this out. Yeah, man. So listen, we're like 5 minutes from the last phase, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm just, all the memories are rolling. And I started to explain a story, right? Just kind of feeling this stick, just so amazing. So the first thing immediately that I'm doing, right, is I'm continuing to just hit the stick like that. And the muscle memory is coming back for the timing for me to do roll canceling, right? Roll canceling was a technique formulated in Capcom versus SNK 2. And so you have certain grooves that you could roll on, right? You could literally hit your jab and your short button simultaneously, and it would give your character a roll motion. Literally a roll, and there be this shadow-like effect where they're invincible. The only thing to really beat a roll, you throw. So if you bait someone into rolling, you can just throw them. But as I'm just tapping this, I immediately just start going into this sequence of timing as to where, like I said, the muscle memory is tapping in, where I'm doing it as if I was roll canceling, right? So when you roll cancel, you pretty much, you add the properties to the roll, to the move, right? So you cancel the roll out, and your timing has to be perfect, where you actually do whatever the move is. Now, depending on the move, it's going to be more difficult. Like, so for example, if you were doing a 100-hand slap with E Honda, or if you were doing like lightning legs with Chun-Li, you would have to hit, let's say with Chun-Li, you'd have to hit short, forward, roundhouse, short, and then you have to roll, and then a fifth button to get the sequence of her kicks would have to come out right after the roll. It would have to be you hitting whatever that button is, right? So that was a little bit more challenging, but on this, I learned how to do the piano. I learned how to piano on the 6-button stick like this very stick, man. So it's just interesting. Roll canceling was a lot easier with characters that had your quarter circle forward motions, like your Ryu, your Ken, your Akuma, for things like Hadouken, because all you have to do is you just have to get that, like that is the timing right there. Like that's the timing for it. So whatever the move is you're going into, all you have to do, you perfect that timing of doing Hadouken. You have to perfect the timing of getting the roll in before you hit that. So not trying to add filler time to it, but I had to get that because I was starting to explain that, like, it's just so much memories coming back to this, as well as things like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which, by the way, for the first year and a half, I played MVC2 like religiously, was actually really good in my city, in my state with the game. I just eventually dropped in MVC2 because I started playing so many non-versus games competitively. I was playing CVS 1, CVS 2, had Third Strike, had Alpha 3, had Alpha 2, had Super Turbo. These were all games that I was playing competitively in my state at the same time. So my love for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 kind of died out because it was such a different game. And I felt like I had to commit myself so much to get good at the game, but at the same time juggle different games. And at the same time, mind you, I was a parent early on. Like back in these days, I was a father, so I had like other obligations and things like that. But let me get to getting this connected. I'm sorry for my rant. Hopefully you guys can feel me. It's just a nostalgia of this thing, man. It brings back so much. So let's get to the connection. Okay, so I got this Asus monitor, 27-inch monitor here, just as a diagram to kind of show you, because once I get this connected on my TV, in case there's any questions, if you happen to see this at a later time, maybe you won't have to question like how the connection went. But it's pretty plug and play with this, what do they call this? HD link cable by Pound. One end is going to go into the Dreamcast. Now I haven't tried this yet, so I'm hopeful that this works. Yeah, so there's no click or anything. All right, there's a directional arrow on top, and all you gotta do is just follow what looks like it fits. It does click when it goes all the way in. So that's there. There are no connections. Actually, it looks like there could be a connection here for power. It appears to be a micro USB adapter, or not adapter, but an opening on the right. So I will have to try to get some power. What I'll do is I'll use a micro USB cable and I'll plug it to the TV, have some USB connections. It's kind of disappointing that they don't include that, but they do include the HDMI cable, so that's kind of cool. HDMI is not going to pass through any power because it's not an ARC connection. So HDMI is going to go into the back of the monitor like so. Male end of the HDMI going to go into the female end of the HD link cable. And that's pretty much what you're looking at. Now, I don't want to have to pull my TV because it's been mounted, you know, and just to show you that, but that's that. Stick's just going to go into the Dreamcast and it's going to fire up. Like I said, to this point, I still have not even connected this. So this is such a one take situation. We're going to see if my Dreamcast even works, but there's your diagram of that. Okay, so plugging this up to my television actually gives the device power. So it 100%, because I don't even have the Dreamcast powered on, nor do I even have power cord plugged to the Dreamcast. So plugging it to a steady source of USB power gives it energy. In this case, I have it plugged to the USB port on the TV. This particular TV does have 3 USB ports, so I've got it plugged into, I try plugging into all of them, they all work. It also, the TV is on that signal too, so it's getting an active signal that's telling the TV that it's a source, right? So it's working. I just need to get the power cord for my Dreamcast. It's a polarized cable, and we'll come back and I'll get this fired up to make sure it's working. All right, man. So let's see if this thing is gonna even fire up. Okay, so we are definitely fired up. I don't have a VMU as of right now. I will honestly tell you, I don't know where the hell mine is, but it's okay, because when I get that itch to actually collect, I'll, ooh, get that plugged up. Ooh, just works. Well, this is kind of dope. I mean, your black bars aren't really too bad. Missing about that much on the screen. Okay, let's see. I've got a burned copy of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in here. I'm not sure if it's gonna work or not. This goes back to the, looks like we might be good. Let's see. We've got to do this all on camera so it's fresh. We know it's real. Like, I'm not even knowing if this stuff is working or not. Okay, so the bad thing about Marvel vs. Capcom 2, if you don't have a VMU, you don't have any characters. So I'm not going to have any characters. To tell you, all memory card is not, a memory card is not inserted. Memory card with 5 blocks of empty space is required for saving. So I can't do any saving. This stick is so awesome. It's just straight arcade. Start button, 6 buttons. That's it. This is a custom version of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that has not the original music on there. All right, man, after testing this thing out, it's great, man. Even with my TV, I'm able to turn on like the game mode, which tells me what the frame rate is. Obviously, it's a fighting game, so it runs at 60 frames. All right, team. Hopefully you enjoyed my showcase of the Green Goblin, man. This stick is amazing. Just brings back so many memories. This stick can be modded. I'm not sure if I want to mod this, but I got a couple of more options of this that may be coming down the pipeline in the future. So maybe there will be a mod of it. There's not really a necessity to mod this stick, though, to be honest with you. I think for me, I would be in a better position just to kind of keep this stock, keep it where it's at. It's a great stick, man. I love it. You know, just even touching this thing, just it takes me back. Earlier in the video, I talked about this having a layout that was similar to all Japanese sticks because that's what it is. So a while ago on the channel, I did my first arcade stick review, and it was of this PXN X9 stick. This stick has been great for me. I use it on PC. Primarily works out of the box for PC. It works for several different other platforms like consoles, PlayStation 4, Xbox One also. You got to do some workarounds for that. But as you can see, minus these two buttons, you have literally the same concept. You have that 6-button layout with the stick, spacing, everything is pretty much spot on. Spacing is a little bit wider on this stick because of the VMU, and that's what I like about this stick. That's what always made it so nice. You know, when these sticks started coming out, when I say these sticks, I mean the Mad Cats and all of those sticks that have this Japanese layout, they were always closer. So it was, you know, I knew I wasn't crazy. I always knew that this original Goblin stick just had a little bit more width, and it was really just because of the VMU. It's another thing that I like about the Victrix sticks. It's a little bit wider also with the placement, but this works definitely. This is tried and true. But if you want, you can check out the review of this stick. This thing is amazing, man. Hopefully, like I said, you guys enjoyed the brief review and a quick view of this. Also, that adapter works great. HD link cable. This thing is awesome. It is phenomenal. If you've got a TV that's got low input latency, like the C1 OLED, greatest gaming TV on this planet. Fighting games, first-person shooters, strategy games, MMOs, whatever you play on that thing is going to play phenomenally, right? And with the added game mode, the TV has the ability to track the frame rate of whatever game that you are actually playing. So that thing works really good. But this adapter is perfect. So if you've got a Dreamcast and you can't find cables, if you're trying to hook it to a modern TV, you definitely want to get this. I'm glad I grabbed this. I'll probably end up ordering another one just to keep stock. But this worked perfectly. If you guys got any questions, any I don't know, any constructive criticism, feedback, something you feel like I could have done differently on this, you know, if you want me to do more videos like this, go into more stories or memories, because I know I started ranting earlier in the video about the nostalgia that this thing brought to me, hold it near and dear, leave them in the comments. Let me know. I do appreciate it if you do like the video, if you consider sharing it, if you consider, you know, just coming back to the channel, subscribing, see what I got to offer, hit that notification bell. It helps me grow. Right now I'm in the early stages of just trying to develop and get the content out there. But I'll catch you guys on the next video. As always say, Max love.